All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at stablecoins
Ooh,
and
fun.
how one company's moves could really shake things up in the
Right.
financial world.
Right.
So we've got a press release from Circle,
Okay.
the company behind the stablecoin USDC. You've probably heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this press release has some interesting stuff in it, some big moves.
Okay, I'm ready.
So first off, Circle is acquiring Hashnote,
Interesting.
the issuer of another stablecoin, USYC.
I see.
And, at first you might think, okay, another acquisition. We see those all the time in crypto,
Yeah.
but there's more to this one.
Yeah, there usually is, right? What's going on here?
Yeah, there is. So it's not just about Circle adding another stablecoin to their, bag of tricks.
Right.
It's about what USYC represents,
Okay.
how it fits into their bigger plan, their vision for the future of stablecoins and finance.
I see, I see. So USYC, what is it backed by?
Exactly, because unlike a lot of stablecoins that are pegged to the U.S. dollar,
Right.
USYC is backed by something pretty different.
Okay.
Tokenized U.S. Treasury bills.
Interesting. So what does that mean exactly? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, so it's, could this be a game changer? How institutions look at stablecoins, how they use them. It's possible. So tokenized treasury bills, basically it's like taking these government-backed assets. Treasury bills are seen as very, very safe and secure,
Right, right, yeah.
rock solid.
Right.
And you're bringing that into the digital world, giving them like a digital makeover, I guess.
Okay, okay.
So instead of just holding, dollars in reserve,
Right.
USYC is directly linked to these tokenized treasury bills.
Mhm.
And for institutional investors, they're all about security. They're all about yield, getting that return on their investment. What advantages does this approach offer them?
Right, right. I mean, it's all about finding that balance, right, between stability and actually getting some return. Because traditional ways to do this, using cash as collateral, yeah, you get stability, but you don't get much back on it. So I guess what you're saying is with USYC, you could potentially tap into the yield that comes from those underlying treasury bills, but you still have this really stable asset to use for, all sorts of financial stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's like, yeah, you get the best of both worlds in a way.
Yeah.
And it seems like Circle's really positioning USYC to be that go-to collateral option for institutions that are maybe, a little hesitant, a little unsure about getting into digital assets,
Hmm.
but they want in on the game.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
It's like they're trying to make it easier, safer for these big institutions to dip their toes in the water, so to speak.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Allaire, the CEO of Circle,
Right.
he's been very vocal about their goal to really bridge, that gap
Yeah.
between traditional finance and blockchain technology.
Uh-huh.
And this acquisition seems to be a major step towards that.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how they're trying to connect those two worlds. You've got these worlds that seem so separate,
Right.
but they're finding ways to kind of weave them together.
Yeah, and there's another big announcement. It's tucked away in this press release.
Oh, okay, there's more.
There's always more.
Okay.
So they're partnering with Cumberland,
Right.
which is the liquidity arm of DRW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, liquidity. Super important in any financial market, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like the lifeblood. You got to have it.
Yeah, liquidity is basically how easy it is to buy or sell something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cumberland, they're known for their expertise in market making and trading.
So they know how to keep things moving.
Exactly. So this partnership, it makes a lot of sense strategically for Circle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like they're really going all in on making USDC and USYC like major players.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just in the crypto world, but in the whole financial system.
Right.
So it's about making sure there's enough, liquidity for both of these stablecoins so that trading can happen smoothly, collateral can be managed. Just making sure that these things are really robust and usable.
Exactly. They want to make them as useful and as widely used as possible, and not just within the crypto world, but in that broader financial system.
Right, right. Like they're not just focused on crypto enthusiasts. They're thinking bigger. They're thinking mainstream.
Right. Exactly. They're aiming to create stablecoins that can work seamlessly in both worlds.
Very interesting. But wait, there's more, right?
Oh, there's always one more piece to the puzzle.
Okay, all right. Lay it on me.
So Circle also announced that they're going to deploy USDC natively on the Canton blockchain.
Canton.
Yeah, Canton. Now, Canton's a little different
Okay.
than your typical public blockchains,
Yeah.
like your Bitcoin, your Ethereum.
All right, so what's different about Canton?
So Canton is, it's really purpose-built for institutional finance.
I see.
And it's designed with privacy security features that really cater to those, specific needs of large financial institutions.
Okay, so it's like a blockchain tailored for the big players.
Exactly, yeah.
That's interesting. So they're putting USDC, this stable coin that's, meant for everyday transactions
Right.
on this more, I guess, exclusive blockchain.
Yeah. It is interesting because it seems like a different direction. And what they're doing here is really, it's a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
It's not about attracting everyday users.
Right.
It's about meeting those very specific requirements of institutional finance.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're trying to cover all their bases.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a multi-pronged strategy.
Yeah.
They want to get stablecoins into every aspect of finance.
Yeah, from those daily transactions to those, complex operations that these big institutions deal with.
Exactly. And with this focus on Canton's privacy features, it seems like they're addressing a key concern for a lot of institutions that are wary of, the transparency.
Right. Right.
That you often see with public blockchains.
Yeah, because privacy and security are super important in institutional finance. So I guess what you're saying is that Canton's architecture, combined with the stability of, USDC and USYC, it might be what finally convinces those big players to, to really jump into the world of digital assets.
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Is Circle, are they setting the stage with all these moves?
Yeah.
For a much broader adoption of stablecoins by institutions? Are we seeing the beginnings of a really big shift in the financial landscape?
It's definitely a possibility, and to understand what this all means, we have to dig a little deeper into the potential impact on institutions, on individual users.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah, let's start by looking at how this might affect these big institutions, right?
Hmm.
Imagine a world where these institutions can move assets across borders instantly, 24/7, using stablecoins on a platform like Canton. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. It is compelling. But would institutions really embrace such a radical change? Wouldn't that require a massive overhaul of how they do things now?
That's true. I mean, it would be a big change to switch over to a blockchain-based system completely. But remember, we're not talking about replacing traditional finance altogether. It's more about, adding these new tools, these new platforms to what they're already using.
So it's more about evolution rather than disruption,
Yeah.
like a gradual kind of merging of the old and the new.
Exactly.
I see.
That's where stable coins like USDC and USYC come in. They act as that bridge, right?
Sure.
That allows institutions to tap into the benefits of blockchain technology without completely abandoning what they're familiar with.
Right, so they can kind of test the waters, see how it works for them
Yeah.
without going all in right away.
Exactly.
I see. Okay. So by leveraging these stable coins, institutions could potentially, streamline their operations, reduce costs, access new markets, new opportunities. But what about the everyday user? Where do they fit into all of this?
Well, for the average person, the implications could be even bigger. Imagine a world where you can send money across borders instantly with very low fees, just using stable coins.
Right.
Or you could access financial services that you couldn't before because, you didn't have a traditional bank account.
Yeah, that sounds like it could really level the playing field.
Yeah.
Give more people access to the financial system.
Exactly. It's about financial inclusion, right?
Yeah.
Empowering individuals, empowering communities that have, historically been excluded.
Right, exactly. So stable coins could really give everyone access to the tools and services they need to participate in the global economy.
Yeah, that's the potential. But we also have to, acknowledge that there are going to be challenges along the way.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with any new technology, there are always risks, and there are downsides to consider. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you see?
I think one of the big ones is regulatory uncertainty.
Yeah.
As stablecoins gain traction, governments around the world are trying to figure out, okay, how do we classify these things?
Right.
How do we regulate them?
It's a whole new world for them.
And this lack of clarity can make institutions hesitant to really get involved.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, regulations often lag behind technology.
Right.
And it creates, this gray area where it's hard to know what the rules are.
Exactly.
But don't you think eventually, as more institutional money flows into this space, increased regulatory scrutiny is inevitable?
Oh, absolutely. And, while some people might see regulation as a bad thing,
Right.
it can actually help drive wider adoption.
Okay.
Clear regulations can provide that framework, those safeguards that institutions need to feel comfortable.
Right. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
where regulation fosters innovation, protects consumers, but doesn't stifle growth.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a conversation that's happening right now at every level, in government and within the industry itself.
Right.
And another challenge is trust. For stablecoins to really take off, people need to be confident
Oh, absolutely.
in their stability, in their security, in their ability to be easily exchanged for, regular currency.
Yeah, trust is everything in finance.
Right.
And especially when you're dealing with something new, something that people aren't familiar with.
Right, exactly. And that's where companies like Circle, with their, focus on transparency, their partnerships, they play a crucial role. By building trust, building credibility, they can pave the way for wider adoption.
Right, so it's not just about building the technology, it's about building that whole ecosystem,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
network of partnerships,
Right.
those integrations that are designed to instill confidence and to make sure that value can flow seamlessly between, the traditional world and the digital world.
Exactly, yeah. They're creating a system where these two worlds can coexist and work together.
Yeah, and the implications of that, they go way beyond finance, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, stablecoins could change how we think about money, payments, even governance.
It's fascinating to think about the potential ripple effects across all these different areas of our lives. But we also have to be careful, right? And approach this with a critical eye.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we can't just blindly embrace any new technology
Right.
without thinking about, what it could mean, what the consequences could be.
We have to question our assumptions, we have to consider the benefits, the risks,
Absolutely.
and have these thoughtful discussions about the future we want to create and what role stablecoins and blockchain technology will play in that future.
Exactly. And speaking of shaping the future, what are some of the things you're watching closely in the stablecoin space? What trends, what developments are on the horizon that could, really accelerate this evolution or maybe even disrupt it?
One thing that I find really interesting is this idea of programmable money and decentralized finance, DeFi.
Oh, yeah, DeFi. We hear that a lot these days.
Yeah, it's a big one. So imagine stablecoins that can, automatically execute contracts, manage investments, even provide microloans based on certain conditions.
That sounds incredibly complex,
It is.
but also incredibly powerful. Is this something that's realistic? I mean, are we going to see this anytime soon?
It's still in early days, but the potential is definitely there. And as the technology gets better, as we get more regulatory clarity,
Right.
we could see a wave of innovation in the stablecoin space that really pushes the boundaries of what's possible with digital assets.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the verge of something really big here, where those lines between, traditional finance and decentralized systems are becoming more and more blurred.
Absolutely. And it's exciting to be a part of it, to see how this is all unfolding. But amidst all the excitement, it's important to remember that ultimately the success of stablecoins will depend on whether they can actually deliver real value, solve real problems.
Right. It's not just about the tech. It's about how it's used to make people's lives better
Exactly.
and create a financial system that's more equitable, more efficient.
Right. It has to make a difference in the real world.
And it all comes back to that fundamental question, right? Can stablecoins, with their stability, with this technological innovation, can they bridge the gap between traditional finance and the world of blockchain?
That's the million-dollar question. And while we don't have a crystal ball, there are a lot of signs pointing in that direction. We're seeing more and more institutional interest. The technology is advancing. We've got things like tokenized treasury bills, and companies like Circle are really positioning themselves to lead the way.
Right. They're making big moves.
They are.
And let's not forget about regulation.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving as governments try to wrap their heads around this new technology.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how those regulations shape the future of stablecoins.
Oh, for sure. Regulation can be a hurdle, but it can also be a catalyst
Right.
for wider adoption.
Yeah.
Clear guidelines can bring certainty, they can bring stability, and that can attract those big institutional players that are still hesitant.
Right. It's like setting the rules of the game. Everyone knows what to expect,
Exactly.
and they can operate with confidence. But even with regulations, trust is still key.
Oh, absolutely. Consumers, institutions, everyone needs to believe that these stablecoins are truly stable,
Yeah.
that they're backed by real assets,
That-
that they're secure, that they're protected from fraud. And that's why transparency and accountability are so important for the companies operating in this space.
Yeah, it's like building a house.
Ah.
You need a strong foundation of trust to support everything else.
Well said. And that foundation is built on open communication, clear disclosures,
Yeah.
a commitment to doing things the right way.
And in the end, the success of stablecoins will be measured by whether they can deliver on their promises. Can they offer a faster, cheaper, and more accessible way to move money?
Right.
Can they empower people? Can they create new opportunities?
Those are the questions that matter, whether stablecoins are just a fad or a real game changer.
And it's a journey that we're all on together, right?
Yeah.
Consumers, investors, regulators, innovators, we all have a role to play.
It's an evolving landscape. Things are changing fast, but it's an exciting time to be watching it all unfold.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, I encourage you to, keep your eyes open, stay curious. The future of finance is being written right now. And who knows what incredible innovations are just around the corner.
Maybe these stablecoins, backed by real-world assets, integrated with traditional systems, they'll become that bridge that finally brings blockchain technology to the mainstream. Or maybe something completely different will emerge. That's the beauty of the space.
Yeah, the potential is limitless.
Absolutely.
Well, on that note of anticipation and excitement, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explore the world of stablecoins
That's been a pleasure.
and their potential to reshape the financial landscape. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep exploring.
See you next time. Let's start by thinking about how this might affect institutions. Imagine a world where these big financial players can move assets around the world instantly, 204/7, using stablecoins on a platform like Canton.
That's a pretty powerful vision.
Yeah.
But would institutions really, would they really embrace such a big change? Wouldn't that require them to completely overhaul their systems and processes?
Yeah, you're right. Transitioning to a fully blockchain-based system would be a huge undertaking for them. But we're not talking about getting rid of traditional finance entirely, right? It's more about, integrating these new tools and platforms alongside the existing infrastructure.
So it's less about disruption and more about evolution, like a gradual kind of merging of the old with the new.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where stablecoins like USDC and USYC come in. They act as that bridge, right?
Right.
That allows institutions to tap into the benefits of blockchain technology without having to abandon everything that they're familiar with.
Right. So they can kind of dip their toes in, see how it works for them without having to, go all in right away.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So by using these stable coins, institutions could potentially streamline their operations, reduce costs, access new markets, new opportunities. But what about the everyday user? Where do they fit into all of this?
Well, for the average person, I think the implications could be even bigger. Imagine a world where you can send money across borders instantly with almost no fees, just using stable coins.
Right.
Or imagine being able to access financial services that you couldn't before because you didn't have a traditional bank account.
Yeah, that sounds like it could really level the playing field, Give more people access to the financial system.
Exactly. It's about financial inclusion, right? Empowering individuals, empowering communities that have historically been excluded.
Right, exactly. So stablecoins could really give everyone the tools and services they need to participate in the global economy.
Yeah, that's the potential. But we also have to, we have to acknowledge that there are going to be challenges along the way.
Oh, of course. Yeah. With any new technology, there are always risks.
Yeah.
And there are downsides to consider. So
Yeah.
what are some of the biggest challenges that you see?
I think one of the big ones is regulatory uncertainty.
Yeah.
As stable coins gain traction, governments around the world are trying to figure out, okay, how do we classify these things?
Right.
How do we regulate them?
It's this whole new world for them.
Yeah, and this lack of clarity can make institutions hesitant to really get involved.
Yeah, that's understandable. Regulations often lag behind technology.
Right.
And it creates this gray area where it's hard to know what the rules are.
Exactly.
But don't you think that eventually as more institutional money flows into the space, increased regulatory scrutiny is inevitable.
Oh, absolutely. And while some people might see regulation as a bad thing,
Right. Yeah.
it can actually help drive wider adoption.
Okay.
Clear regulations can provide that framework, those safeguards that institutions need to feel comfortable.
Right. So it's about finding that balance where regulation fosters innovation and protects consumers, but doesn't, stifle growth.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a conversation that's happening right now at every level, in government and within the industry itself.
Right.
And another challenge is trust. For stablecoins to really take off, people need to be confident
Oh, absolutely.
in their stability and their security and their ability to be easily exchanged for, regular currency.
Yeah, trust is everything in finance.
Right.
And especially when you're dealing with something new, something that people aren't familiar with.
Right, exactly. And that's where companies like Circle, with their, focus on transparency, their partnerships, they play a crucial role. By building trust, building credibility, they can pave the way for wider adoption.
Right. So it's not just about building the technology, it's about building that whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
That network of partnerships.
Right.
Those integrations that were designed to instill confidence
Hmm.
and to make sure that value can flow seamlessly
Yeah.
between, the traditional world and the digital world.
Exactly. Yeah. They're creating a system where these two worlds can coexist and work together.
Yeah, and the implications of that go way beyond finance, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, stable coins could change how we think about money, payments, even governance.
It's fascinating to think about the potential ripple effects across all these different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
But we also have to be careful, right? And approach this with a critical eye.
Oh, of course. Yeah. We can't just blindly embrace any new technology
Right.
without thinking about, what it could mean, what the consequences could be.
We have to question our assumptions. We have to consider the benefits, the risks,
Absolutely.
and have these thoughtful discussions about the future we want to create and what role stablecoins and blockchain technology will play in that future.
Exactly. And speaking of shaping the future, what are some of the things you're watching closely in the stablecoin space? What trends, what developments are on the horizon that could, really accelerate this evolution or maybe even disrupt it?
One thing that I find really interesting is this idea of programmable money and decentralized finance, DeFi.
Oh yeah, DeFi, we hear that a lot these days.
Yeah, it's a big one. So imagine stablecoins that can automatically execute contracts, manage investments, even provide microloans based on certain conditions.
That sounds incredibly complex,
It is.
but also incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Is this something that's realistic? I mean, are we going to see this anytime soon?
It's still early days, but the potential is definitely there. And as the technology gets better, as we get more regulatory clarity,
Right.
we could see a wave of innovation in the stablecoin space that really pushes the boundaries of what's possible with digital assets.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the verge of something really big here.
Yeah.
Where those lines between, traditional finance and decentralized systems are becoming more and more blurred.
Absolutely. And it's exciting to be a part of it, to see how this is all unfolding. But amidst all the excitement, it's important to remember that ultimately the success of stablecoins will depend on whether they can actually deliver real value, solve real problems.
Right. It's not just about the tech. It's about how it's used to make people's lives better and create a financial system that's more equitable, more efficient.
Right. It has to make a difference in the real world.
So it all comes back to that fundamental question. Can stablecoins, can they really bridge that gap between traditional finance and the decentralized world of blockchain with their stability and this innovative technology?
That's the big question, isn't it? And while we don't have all the answers, I think the signs are definitely pointing in that direction. We're seeing more institutional interest, advancements in the technology, like we talked about with tokenized treasury bills, and you have companies like Circle that are really strategically positioning themselves to be leaders in this space.
Right, they're making some bold moves.
They are.
And we can't forget about the regulatory landscape. It's always changing as governments try to figure out how to deal with this new technology. And it's going to be interesting to see how those regulations end up shaping the future of stablecoins and how they fit into traditional financial systems.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, regulation is often seen as a roadblock, but in this case, it could actually be a catalyst for wider adoption.
Right.
Having those clear guidelines can bring, much needed certainty, stability, and that could attract even more of those institutional players that are kind of sitting on the sidelines right now.
Right. It's like setting the rules of the game.
Yeah.
So that everyone knows what to expect.
Exactly.
And they can operate with confidence. But even with regulations in place, I mean, trust is still such a crucial factor.
Oh, absolutely. Consumers, institutions, everyone needs to have that confidence that these stable coins are truly stable.
Yeah.
That they're backed by real assets,
Okay.
that they're secure, that they're protected from fraud and manipulation. And that's why transparency and accountability are so important for the companies in this space.
It's like, building a house. You need that strong foundation of trust to really support everything else.
Well said. And that foundation is built on open communication, clear disclosures, a commitment to doing things the right way.
And then ultimately the success of stablecoins is going to be judged by whether they can deliver on their promises.
Yeah.
Can they really provide a faster, cheaper, more accessible way to move money around the world?
Right.
Can they empower individuals and communities? Can they create those new opportunities for growth and prosperity?
Those are the questions that will determine whether stablecoins are just a fad or a truly transformative force in the world of finance.
And it's a journey that we're all on together.
Yeah.
As consumers, as investors, as regulators, as innovators, we all have a role to play.
It's an evolving landscape. Things are changing quickly, but it's a very exciting time to be watching this all unfold.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, I encourage you to keep your eyes open, stay curious. The future of finance is being written right now, and who knows what incredible innovations are just around the corner.
Maybe these stable coins backed by real world assets integrated with traditional systems will become that bridge that finally brings blockchain technology to the mainstream. Or maybe something completely different will emerge. I mean, that's the beauty of this space, right?
Yeah, the potential is limitless.
It really is.
Well, on that note of anticipation and excitement, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explore the world of stablecoins and their potential to reshape the financial landscape. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and keep exploring.
See you next time.